Her Escalade slammed into my trash can again, but this time, the crash didn't sound like plastic breaking. It sounded like metal crumpling. She just destroyed her own bumper, and I hadn't lifted a finger. So tell me, what would you do if your neighbor kept targeting you? My name's Marcus. I'm a 45-year-old electrician, recently divorced, raising 2 teenagers on my own. After the split, I moved us into what I thought was a quiet, safe HOA neighborhood. Cookie-cutter houses, lawns trimmed to regulation length, and streets so clean you could eat off them. Sounded perfect. But every perfect place has its cracks, and mine came in the form of one neighbor, Brenda. Everyone called her the HOA watchdog, though no one had ever elected her to anything. She drove a pearl-white Escalade the size of a tank and carried herself like she was the sheriff of suburbia. Clipboard in one hand, smug smile in the other. She knew every HOA rule by heart and somehow twisted them into weapons. At first, I thought she was just strict about appearances, grass height, mailbox paint, that kind of thing. But I quickly realized Brenda wasn't interested in fairness. She was interested in control. And unfortunately, my trash can placement, a city-mandated 3 feet from the curb, put me right in her crosshairs. I didn't know it then, but this woman was about to make my life a nightmare. The first crash happened early on a Tuesday morning. I was pouring coffee when I heard the sharp crack of plastic shattering. I rushed outside to find my trash can flattened, garbage scattered across my driveway, and there was Brenda, rolling down her window with fake concern. "Oh my," she cooed. "These streets are just so narrow. I hope you weren't too attached to that old thing." "Old thing? I bought it last week." Still, I brushed it off. Maybe an accident. But then it happened again. And again. Always the same time, 6:15 a.m., right before the garbage truck came. By the 4th time, I knew it wasn't a coincidence. The proof came from my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Olivia, who whispered to me over her fence. "She takes the long way, Marcus. Plenty of room other side. She hits yours on purpose." I tried confronting Brenda, but she just smiled sweetly. "Perhaps you should consider placement adjustments. For community safety." Placement adjustments? There was literally nowhere else my trash could legally go. That's when I realized this wasn't an accident. It was a war. Once Brenda knew I'd caught on, she escalated. It wasn't just trash cans anymore. First came the violation letters. Certified envelopes with bold red warnings about improper receptacle placement and community hazards. Each one threatened $50 daily fines. The problem? Our bylaws said nothing of the sort. Then came the smear campaign. She plastered the neighborhood app with posts about reckless homeowners endangering children. She even claimed I was blocking emergency vehicles with my trash can. Neighbors started arguing online, some defending her, others shaking their heads. But she wasn't finished. My buddy at City Hall tipped me off that someone, gee, I wonder who, had filed 4 separate complaints about my corner, all written in the same handwriting, all submitted at 2:47 a.m. Brenda wasn't just harassing me. She was building a case. That's when I got serious. I installed a doorbell camera, bought a survey to confirm my placement, and gathered statements from witnesses. Every collision, every letter, every fake complaint. I documented it all. Still, every morning at 6:15, the familiar roar of her Escalade filled the street, followed by that sickening crunch. But then, in the middle of this chaos, I uncovered her real motive. One Saturday, while venting to a contractor buddy at Home Depot, he chuckled and said, "Why not just make a trash can she can't break? Nothing in the code says it can't be concrete." The idea hit me like lightning. Concrete. Reinforced. Indestructible. That weekend, I bought 60 pounds of concrete mix, steel rebar, and a standard trash can shell. My kids, Emma and Tyler, helped me mix it in the garage, laughing like it was some top-secret family project. The smell of wet cement filled the air as we poured and reinforced the can. From the outside, it looked completely ordinary, plastic lid, wheels, city-approved dimensions. But inside, solid steel-reinforced concrete, disguised as your everyday bin. We even played it off casually. Tyler asked, "Dad, won't she notice?" I grinned. She won't. Until it's too late. By Sunday evening, the fortress can was ready. Heavy, solid, and perfectly legal. I placed it in the same spot as always, right at the curb. Now, all I had to do was wait for Brenda's morning demolition derby. Monday, 6:15 a.m. on the dot. The rumble of Brenda's Escalade shook the street. I stood at my kitchen window, coffee in hand, watching. She lined up her usual route, smirking as she gunned the engine. The impact came fast, except this time, instead of plastic shattering, the sound was a brutal thunk. Her bumper bent like tin foil. My trash can didn't even wobble. I swear. She sat frozen for 30 seconds, trying to process what happened. Then, unbelievably, she backed up and tried again, this time from an angle. The result? More dents, more screeching metal, and one very confused Karen. Over the next week, she tried repeatedly. Every attempt left her SUV looking worse. Scratched paint, broken running board, cracked headlight housing. Meanwhile, my concrete trash can sat smug and unscathed, like an immovable object laughing at her stupidity. Neighbors started noticing. Kids gathered at the bus stop early just to watch the show. Mrs. Rodriguez whispered, "She's destroying her own car." And I just sipped my coffee, day after day, as Brenda unknowingly turned her $60,000 Escalade into scrap metal. But Karen wasn't finished. No, she was about to go nuclear. As Brenda's SUV transformed into a rolling disaster, she grew more desperate. She tried calling in inspectors, claiming my trash can was an illegal structure. They laughed her off. It was still just a garbage container. Then she sent the HOA after me. But by now, I had months of documentation, videos, witness statements, city codes, all proving I was in the right. At the next board meeting, neighbors flooded in, tired of her nonsense. Some brought their own violation notices, proof of her selective harassment. Others simply came to watch the drama. I laid out everything: the collisions, the fake complaints, the targeted harassment. And then, the kicker, I revealed she'd been funneling HOA money into contracts for a construction company tied to her family. Fraud. The room gasped. Brenda's smug smile vanished. Even her allies on the board backed away. That night, she wasn't the neighborhood enforcer anymore. She was the villain exposed under a spotlight she'd created herself. Within weeks, Brenda resigned from the board, her reputation shattered, and her Escalade in ruins. The HOA refunded misused funds. Neighbors rallied, and my family finally had peace. Standing beside my kids, I looked at that concrete trash can and smiled. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud. It's solid, silent, and reinforced with steel. So what do you think? Was the concrete can genius or petty? Drop your HOA nightmare stories in the comments. Hit that like button if you enjoyed watching karma roll in. And don't forget to subscribe for more wild tales of suburban justice.